Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cashin Tickets here on ncnewsonline.com. I'm the sports editor at the Newcastle News, Ron Poniewasz, and we are now in the NFL's conference championship round of the playoffs. We have 2 games left as we march toward the Super Bowl. Before we get cracking on the games, first up, just remember that when you get down to a limited number of games, the lines are really sharp. It takes a lot to move the numbers, so basically it takes somebody that drops a lot of money on a bet, possibly like Mattress Mac, if you know who that is. If you don't, Google him because he makes multi-million-dollar bets on stuff. He won the World Series last year with the Astros, and since then he's been taking it pretty hard with bets on Texas Christian, the Cowboys, other things like that. Another thing to remember is always know your sportsbook's rules. Case in point, when you had the Bengals and Bills game canceled from a few weeks ago, if you had a futures ticket on either the Bengals or the Bills to go over their win total, naturally they were in a position that they were going to cash and probably by rights had cashed already. But however, if a book says we're not paying you out until the season ends, and a specific team has to play all 17 games, well, naturally those teams did not play, so it's a voided bet. You get your money back, so you lose. So you have to know your rules going into that. Another one to keep in mind prior to us talking about the games is the Super Bowl. Naturally, is the last game to talk about, and we'll do that in a couple weeks. But going into that, there's a really nice prop bet that I've played the last couple years. Last year it did not hit, but it was on a huge win streak, and that is taking the yes on, taking the no. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback in the Super Bowl? Take the no on that, because as long as the kicker doesn't kick the ball through the end zone, generally the kick returner likes the glory of getting the ball and running it out of the end zone. Last year, for whatever reason, I believe it was the Bengals that got the opening kickoff and did not take it out, and it was definitely returnable. So you want to take the no on that. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback in the Super Bowl? Just keep that in mind, because the juice will move on that. The more people bet that, you'll get it at a good number once you see it go live. San Francisco at Philadelphia in the NFC Championship. That is a 3 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. This one opened Philadelphia -1 with an over-under total of 45.5. Now it's up to Philadelphia -2.5 with an over-under of 46.5. I was over at Hollywood Gaming today over at Mahoning in Austintown, Ohio, making some bets. So first off, we have home favorites are 23-9 in conference championships straight up. And the 49ers are the number 2 team in the league. They rank second in the league in rushing yards allowed. So what does that tell you? That means that Philadelphia is going to have a hard time running the ball against them, more than likely. The Cowboys certainly did last week. Right now, the numbers moved against you pretty good. Miles Sanders' prop was 55.5 rushing yards, and that's went all the way down to 50.5. So with that one, you've missed a good number on that in that regard. I really like the under in this game, 46.5. Both teams have a really good defense, so take the under and take that with confidence. 46.5 under. A couple other plays that I have made on this is I have teased put the both games in a four game teaser also, so we will talk about that later on in this segment. The Philadelphia Eagles also are 9-2-1 against the spread in games that Jalen Hurts has played this year. So naturally, Jalen Hurts is playing this week. The spread is 2.5. They're 9-2-1. So if you like numbers like that, you are going to like the Eagles giving 2.5. And remember, it's not through the key number of 3. So keep on it. If you want it, you better get on it, because you never know if that's going to tick up to 3. And if it does, if it goes overtime and Philadelphia wins by a field goal, it's just a refund instead of a cashing ticket. Next up, we have the AFC Championship game, and that is Cincinnati at Kansas City, 6:30 p.m. Sunday evening. This one opened Kansas City -2.5 with an over-under total of 48. Now it is Kansas City -1 with an over-under total of either 47.5 or 48. This game's had a lot of movement, as we mentioned, earlier on in this segment. Lines are really sharp, and it takes a lot to move the numbers. Well, what does it take to move those numbers? Patrick Mahomes' uncertainty. That's what it took. The Chiefs opened up a short favorite, and it rotated all the way through to the Bengals being a short favorite. It actually got up to the Bengals being a 3-point favorite, and that didn't last long. You had to catch it just at the right time, just at the right shop, and it rotated back to 2.5 real quick. And just the other day, when Patrick Mahomes was spotted at practice and at the news conference for the media, walking around just like nothing had ever happened. So people started betting Kansas City on that, and that's how it took it all the way down to Kansas City -1. Kansas City is 7-2 to the under at home this year. They're an under team. You wouldn't think they're an under team, but they are an under team. And the Bengals are 6-3-1 to the under on the road. I really like the under in this game. It's it's contrarian. Last week I had the Eagles-Cowboys game contrarian to go under, and it did. This week I like Cincinnati and Kansas City to go under also. I like both games to go under. Joe Burrow is 3-0 straight up against the Chiefs. So that's another angle to play if you're looking at it in that regard. Some additional plays that I made for both of these games. I'm going to thumb through my tickets. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, I gave out the Chiefs to win the AFC Championship at plus money, plus 140, plus 150, different places that I got it. So today, as a mini hedge, I put 25 on Cincinnati. So if Cincinnati does not win, it's not going to eat too much into my winnings. If they win, it's not going to really cover myself too much, but it's a good little hedge. I'm kind of covered either way in terms of who to root for. Single gamers that I like: Kenneth Gainwell, running back for Philadelphia. He generally catches passes for the Eagles and will hit double digits in terms of receiving yards. You can find it at like 7.5 receiving yards, 8.5. That's a good number. It should hit. Generally, he's in the 30s roughly for receiving yards. So if you can find Kenneth Gainwell, especially at a low number, that's really good. I also let's rotate over to the Bengals-Chiefs game. Joe Burrow does a really good job at ball control in terms of not turning it over. I don't think he will throw an interception. So if you can find Joe Burrow to throw an interception, grab that also for Joe Burrow. The Philadelphia Eagles have a really good pass defense, and a lot of times if you look at something like that and say, okay, Philadelphia has a really good record, they're winning games big in blowouts, so that probably tells you that they have a good rush defense, and the opponents are getting good yardage through the air in garbage time. That's not really the case. Case in point, last week with Daniel Jones, I think he finished right around 180 some odd passing yards for the Giants. That was the play last week. For whatever reason, I played his rushing yards over 45.5, and he got up around 30 some. So I did not play that one accurately, as I should have. This week, I'm taking Brock Purdy under his passing yards of 217.5, and with that total, I believe opponents have only surpassed that number against Philadelphia about 4 times this year. So that's a good number to have if you can get that. Get Brock Purdy under his 217.5 passing yards. Let's go over to Kansas City. I took Jerick McKinnon under his rushing yards at 26.5. I believe there's a rumor that Clyde Edwards-Helaire might actually come back this week for the Chiefs, and if he does, you'll have Edwards-Helaire, you'll have Jerick McKinnon naturally, and the other running back, Isaiah Pacheco. So and McKinnon would be third out of all those three. So it would almost take a rout or an injury possibly for McKinnon to surpass that yardage. So that's pretty safe. As a matter of fact, I like Isaiah Pacheco over his 47.5 rushing yards if you can find that one as well. And what I did was with teasers, I really like teasers, and I probably went overboard on this one, and probably something that a lot of people won't do. I teased both games in all four facets that you can tease them. Well, I did with the San Francisco game. I did the point spread. I teased the 49ers up to 8.5, so that's through a key number of 6, 7, and 8. So you know, as long as San Francisco can keep that one relatively close, we're in good shape. The total points, I took the under. So teasing that under, it jacks the price up, or the total points up. So it jacked it up from 46.5 to 52.5. That makes it a really high scoring game, and I don't see a lot of points in that game. I think it'll be a really lower scoring game. Then we go over to the Bengals-Chiefs game. I teased the Bengals from +1 to +7, a full touchdown. So I teased the Bengals up to 7, and then that point spread, I teased it from 47.5. I teased under, so I got it all the way up to 53.5. So on that one, that's a 4-teamer on a teaser. The juice pays $257 plus $257, so 50 on that will pay you $178.59. Again, make sure you know your rules at the sports books. You know, that way if you have questions after you make the bets or before you make your bets, you'll have them answered. And just don't go over your means again. And enjoy conference championship weekend, everybody. We have the Super Bowl coming up in a couple weeks. There's going to be a lot of props to bet. You can bet things like how long the national anthem will go, what color Gatorade is dumped on the coach, just nonsensical things like that. So certainly build up your money to bet on the Super Bowl. And one again that I really like is will the opening kickoff be a touchback? No, take the no. That's it's almost like betting the Army-Navy game to go under, although this year the Army-Navy game went over, but it took overtime. So enjoy the conference championship games, everybody. Don't go over your means, bet responsibly, and we will see you back here next week on Cashin Tickets. I'm Ron Poniewasz, Newcastle News Sports Editor.